Hey everybody, welcome back to Sorvent's non-meta tournament number 3. This is round number 2, the first feature match at least. And down at the bottom we have myself, and I am playing Wind Witch Majespecter. And up at the top we have Goofy Ghost, and normally he was on Crusadia if you've seen it in the previous 2 tournaments, but this time he is on a brand new deck, which is Traptrix. So Traptrix Sarah went from 2 to 3 on the previous list, so I guess he decided that it would be his time to shine with that deck. And he's going to be opting to go first, so he's going to normal summon his Traptrix Dynania and get into a copy of Sarah. And then he's going to set his 2 cards face down, being a Compulsory and a Torrential. And he's going to go ahead and pass his turn. So I draw for turn. I have an Ice Spell, a couple Majespecters, Ties, and a Cyclone. Honestly, one of the better hands I could have expected out of this tournament. So I'm going to start with a Pot of Extravagance to draw 2 cards. We're going to draw into a Glass Spell and a Crow. That's completely fine. We're going to go ahead and use Ice Spell's effect to special summon itself, and then special summon Glass Spell from the deck, and then use Glass 1 and Ice 2 in the chain. And Chain Link 3 is going to be Torrential Tribute. So Torrential Tribute's going to go ahead and pop everything on the field. And I do realize that Sarah is unaffected by trap effects, so the Torrential will not kill her. So I decide to go ahead and chain Cyclone to tribute over my own Cyclone, or my Ice Spell, to pop the Sarah, and it's definitely affected by spell effects, so that's why I did that. So it's gonna go ahead and kill that. Then he's gonna take 500 damage from the Ice Spell, and I'm gonna get a search for a Wind Witch monster. I'm gonna go ahead and search for Snowbell in this case. Then I'm going to go ahead and scale Crow and scale Fox, and then I'm going to Pendulum Summon for 2 monsters out of my hand, being Glass Bell as well as Crow. And I have 2 options here. I can, try and push a little bit for damage with my Snowbell in my hand, or I can use this Ties to see what I can dig for. But I opt to go ahead and search for the Cyclone with Crow, and then I go ahead and activate Ties, targeting the Crow. If I didn't target the Crow, obviously, he has a Compulse here. So if I target a Glass Spell, he can actually chain this Compulse, and then my Ties would resolve without an effect. So that would be really funny, but he attempts to use the Compulse to target the Crow to bounce it, but Majespecters can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, so that was a good play on my part. So I tell him he can take it back since his initial target was illegal. And then I go ahead and special summon Toad as well as Fox from the deck. And then I use Fox Chain Toad, and then Toad's going to go ahead and set me Tempest, and I'm going to search for Tornado. Normally you do that to play around Ash, but obviously Ash is banned in this format, so yeah. I go ahead and set the Tornado as well as the Cyclone out of my hand and pass my turn to him. He draws for turn, drawing into Traptrix Mermelio, and he has 2 copies of DD Crow that are pretty much dead in his hand, so that's a little unfortunate. But he's going to go ahead and normal summon Mermello and use the effect to search for a whole normal trap, which I'm going to hit with Tempest because I don't want that to go through. Then he's going to go ahead and pass his turn. So I draw for turn. I have a Cyclone here, but I could shotgun it to get rid of this Compulse, which I think I do. I'm not exactly too sure. Yep, it looks like I used the Cosmic to get rid of this back row. He's going to chain the Compulse targeting the the Glass Bell, which is completely fine. Then I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon, Link into Great Fly, and then I'm going to Pendulum Summon for Glass Bell out of my hand, Fox out of my extra deck, as well as the Crow out of my extra deck as well. And then I can go ahead and search with Fox, and I don't have any more targets with Crow, so technically it was an illegal activation, but I just tell him I have no targets left. Then I can use Snowbell's effect because I control 2 or more wind monsters, and no non-wind monsters. I can special summon it. And then I'm going to Synchro using it and Crow into a copy of Chambara. At this point, this is over game because Chambara is sitting at 27-1 after this first attack. And then it's going to be 2,900 after the second attack. 19, 2,000, 2,000. It's definitely over game. So moving into game number 2, that was quite a fast game number 1. He opts to go first yet again. Makes sense. So he's going to go ahead and use Traptrix Mermello and use the effect to search for Floodgate Trap Hole. And then he's going to go ahead and link off into a Traptrix Sarah, setting 3 back row, the Trap Trick, Solemn Judgment, as well as a Floodgate Trap Hole. He's going to pass his turn. I draw for turn, drawing into Majesty's Pegasus, and I have 2 copies of Extravagance in my hand, which is really funny because the card is semi-limited. So in the main phase, I'm going to go ahead and use it. Banishing 6 cards to draw 2. I draw into a Raccoon as well as a Pegasus. And then I can go ahead and normal summon Crow, and he's going to go ahead and hit that with a Floodgate Trap Hole. So unfortunately, my Crow's just going to go face down, but that's okay because I'm going to go ahead and search for a Majespecter Cyclone. Then Traptrix is going to trigger here, and he's going to special summon a Traptrix monster from the deck, which is Mantis in this case. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Pegasus, which can tribute for cost. And so the interesting thing about tributing for cost is that the card doesn't have to be face up. So it's really interesting because I can use Pegasus here to tribute the Crow as cost. And at this point, he has a chance to respond, right? But it's really funny because he could Ogre this here, which I don't think he does. But I did tell him, like, we did go through it, and he said the effect was fine, and said, okay. And so I summoned Raccoon, and I used the effect to go ahead and search for Cat. And then I went ahead and scaled my Raccoon as well as my Nakomata, my Cat or whatever, Raccoon Cat. I'm probably not going to be calling them by their name, but rather their, what they are, Crow, Raccoon, Cat, etc. Anyways, so I scale those, and I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon for the Crow as well as the Glass Bell out of my extra deck. He's going to negate that with a Solemn Judgment, paying half of his life points. And then I'm going to go ahead and go into battle phase, use this Raccoon to swing over Traptrix. He's going to activate Traptrix, and then he's going to set Heavy Storm Duster, which could be a huge blowout here. But he's going to take the damage anyways. Then I'm going to go ahead and set 3 cards in the back row and pass my turn. He draws for a Gravedigger's Trap Hole. And then he goes ahead and normal summons Mantis, using the effect to add a Traptrix Dionea to the hand so he can have a follow-up for the next turn. And then he can go ahead and set this Gravedigger's Trap Hole and link off into Traptrix. Next, he can go ahead and use Mantis, targeting the same back row, adding it back to the hand, and then using Sarah's effect to set yet another Floodgate Trap Hole from the deck. Moving into the battle phase, he can use this Traptrix Mantis to go ahead and swing over my Raccoon, and I'm probably going to use the Cyclone here to go ahead and get rid of it to pop the Sarah, and then he could go ahead and attack directly. I asked him if he wanted to attack directly for 15, and he said, I don't like how you said that, so he's just gonna not attack, which was kind of funny. In main phase 2, he's gonna go ahead and link off the Mantis into a Sarah, and then he's going to pass his turn. So I draw for turn, drawing into Ice Bell, which is probably one of the better top decks I could have got in this case. In the standby phase, he's going to use Heavy Storm Duster, I believe targeting my back row, which is Extravagance, as well as Pegasus. So I guess this was kind of like a good choice for him to hit the Extravagance, but I don't think it's really going to matter. Then I go ahead and use, he goes ahead and uses Sarah's effect since the trap card is activated to grab Mermello, and Mermello can hit a back row as well. So he's going to hit my Tornado in this case. So all I'm left with is my Scales, Pegasus, and Ice Bell in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, he also uses Sarah's effect to set the Bottomless, but it can't be activated this turn. So the only things he can really do are Gravedigger's Trap Hole and Floodgate Trap Hole. Then I'm going to go ahead and use Ice Bell, which he's going to negate with this Gravedigger's Trap Hole, which I'm going to take 2,000 points of damage, which he does correct here. I didn't take it at first. Then I Pendulum Summon for Raccoon, and he goes ahead and hits me with Floodgate Trap Hole, which is fine. I still have to resolve my Raccoon, so I'm going to still grab Crow. And then I can go ahead and Normal Summon Crow and use the effect to grab Majespecter Cyclone. Then he's going to go ahead and use Ghost Ogre on it, but that was definitely a misplay because they still can't be destroyed by card effects. But the activation of Ghost Ogre is legal in this case, even though it doesn't destroy. It still is a legal activation, unfortunately for him. So I'm going to activate Pegasus from my hand and then use the effect to tribute the Raccoon that's face down in my extra monster zone. And I'm going to tribute or special summon Fox from the deck. Then I can use Fox's effect to add Tempest to the hand. And I definitely have two different situations here. I can set both of these back row, and kill his monsters. But or I can actually go into a rank 4 play, and it's definitely a very interesting case that I could do. I could do either or. I think I decided to go into Lightning Chidori here, and I'm going to go ahead and target a set card on the field and return it to the top of the deck. And Chidori is also going to get rid of the Sarah as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my Chidori to attack over the Mermello. And then for the next turn, I have a Tempest and a Cyclone for when I decide to Pendulum Summon again. So he draws for turn, drawing into Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and he has the Dynanea in hand. He's going to go ahead and use Dynanea to go ahead and bring back the Mermello. And Mermello is going to go ahead and hit a back row. So he's going to actually go ahead and hit my cat in this case, which is a little rough for me because that gets rid of my scales, so I'm not really able to pendulum summon. He probably should have done that earlier in the duel, but better late than never, I guess. Then he's going to go ahead and link off, I believe, this... oh no, he's going to overlay, actually, into a copy of Traptrix Alomeris, which is a little hard to pronounce, but you can detach 2 materials and then summon a level 4 insect or plant monster from the grave. So I believe he's going to go ahead and do that to bring back the Murmello to also clear my Majesty's Pegasus. And then he can swing over my Lightning Chidori. I'll take 300 points of damage, and then I'll take 16 for Murmello. And it's basically all down to these draws. So it's just very dependent on if I draw basically a Majespecter card. It would be really great if I drew another cat or another fox, because then I could set my scales. So I draw for turn, drawing in a crow. Unfortunately, that is not the right scale that I wanted, but that's okay. I could just pass my turn with just the crow. I think I opt to just go ahead and set the card because I can still activate the Cyclone or the Tempest by tributing it as cost. So I just pass my turn at that. He draws Torrential Tribute for turn, and he's going to go ahead and set it to the field. Then use Murmello to attack over my face down, which I'm going to use Cyclone to go ahead and pop his Exquisite monster, and then Murmello is going to hit me directly for 16. And then we're on to the last turn, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the last turn, but we'll see here. I draw Cosmic Cyclone for turn, and then I'm going to go ahead and set it and pass my turn. He draws for turn, drawing into Deinania. Unfortunately, that's going to be 3,300 points of damage, so he's going to go ahead, normal summon Deinania, bring back his Murmello. Murmello's effect's going to pop my back row. I'm going to chain it to figure out what his last set card was. It's Torrential. I take 1,000 points of damage for cost, and he attacks for game. So, moving into game number 3, I was almost in a commanding position in that last game, but close but no cigar. Anyways, I'm going to opt to go first this time. Just kind of like a mediocre hand this time, but Glass Bell is going to activate. I'm going to go ahead and search for a copy of Ice Bell, and then I'm going to go ahead and set 3 back row and pass my turn. I probably shouldn't have played into the Lightning Storm, but fortunately for me, he didn't really have one. So he's going to go ahead and use Dark Hole to clear my Glass Bell, and then he's going to normal summon Deinania and then link it off into a Traptrix Sarah. And yeah, I definitely shouldn't have set this like Tornado, probably, or the Cyclone at least. I probably should have set the Tornado and the Cosmic Cyclone, but not the Majespecter Cyclone. But yeah, anyways, he's going to use Effective Exceed in his hand to special summon it, as well as another one from the deck. He's going to use Shade Brigandine as well, and the Murmello is going to clear my back row. Then Sarah is going to go ahead and set Gravedigger's Trap Hole from the deck, and he can go ahead and make a Traptrix Alomeris, and then he can go ahead and use the effect to bring back Murmello to pop yet another back row, which is my Cyclone in this case, and then he can overlay for a copy of Tornado Dragon to clear my final back row. Unfortunately for him, this is a Cosmic Cyclone, so I'm going to chain it and go ahead and get rid of this Gravedigger's Trap Hole. And then, so that's pretty nice for me since it makes this Ice Bell live, since I knew he had the Gravedigger's Trap Hole. So he's going to set a Torrential Tribute, and I believe this Floodgate Trap Hole. Go into the battle phase, hit for 800, 2100, 2200, 1600, and that's going to put me at 300 life points. So just barely hanging in there. Then he's going to go ahead and end his turn. I draw for turn. Fortunately for me, I have this Ice Bell, which is going to come in clutch here. So I'm going to go ahead and summon Crow, and I'm going to use the effect. He's going to hit it with a Floodgate Trap Hole, which is completely fine since I'm just going to go ahead and add Cyclone here. Next, he's going to go ahead and use Sarah's effect, which will grab him a Traptrix monster from deck. In this case, he's going to grab Mantis. And then I have a Cyclone here that I can get rid of the Sarah, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to use Ice Bell's effect in my hand and special summon it. And then summon the Glass Bell. And then I can use the effect of Glass Bell, effective Ice Bell to burn for 5, search for Snowbell. And I can use Snowbell's effect to go ahead and special summon it to the field. And then at this point, he hits me with the Torrential Tribute, destroying everything on the field. And that leaves him with nothing. It leaves me with a Crow, but I have already used my normal summon, so I'm kind of stuck here at this moment. So I said, all right, if you draw a monster, you win the game. So I believe a really weird circumstance happens here. He banishes the top card of his deck because he wanted to see what it was without drawing, which is kind of like a funny thing, I guess. So he draws, or he reveals Raigeki, which then he puts back in his deck, and then he misclicks and hits Shuffle. and then he draws for turn, which I was like, wait, that's a little weird. Like, we were a little confused or whatever. It was definitely like all not, it wasn't malicious on his part. I know it looks malicious, like looking at the replay at all, but he definitely did not mean to do that at all. So I told him it's okay, you can go ahead and grab the card back, whatever you did. And I wanted to see like exactly what mine was, so I revealed like I had Bambuku because I wanted to see if I could like banish it or whatever. So I just wanted to see how it would work, how like the banishing a card face down and then adding it to your hand would work. So he does banish the card face down, so I don't know what it is. In this case, I banished like my raccoon face down and added it to my hand, and he wasn't able to see it. And then he goes ahead and banishes the Raigeki from his deck face down and then adds it to his hand. And I'm unable to see it, so it's a complete bluff. And I said, do you want to set that card since you're in the end phase? And he didn't, so I said, okay. I drew for turn, drawing into the Bunbuku like we knew it was. And then we go ahead and normal summon said Bunbuku, and I'm going to go ahead and add a copy of Cat to the hand. Scale my cards, and I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon Crow, and I have no more Cyclones in deck, so I'm going to go ahead and swing for 1,200. Then I'm going to go ahead and link off into a copy of Win, which was definitely probably a misplay on my part. And I'm going to go ahead and grab Parallel Exceed from his field, or from his graveyard, and sub it to my field, and I'm going to pass my turn. On the next turn, I can go ahead and grab Parallel Exceed yet again, but unfortunately for me, he draws Traptrix Murmello, and even if I didn't link these off into the Win, I still would have lost because he's going to use this Raigeki here to break my board and then normal summon Murmello and attack for game. Win can go ahead and search me for Fox, but realistically with my life point count, it's not going to matter since he can just attack 16 for game. So that's going to do it for today's video. He got extremely lucky drawing into Traptrix Murmello when like basically half of his deck was like traps and spell, or not even spells, really just trap cards. So he definitely got really lucky this time around. He won't get lucky next time around, but yeah, that was a really fun game. I enjoyed it a lot, and if you did enjoy as well, go ahead and drop a like on the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.